Hello again. I am Michael Lighten, writer of science fiction and poetic works. I am reading a chapter from one of my works so that you can hear how the writing flows and see if you have interest. My works are all futuristic so far, except for some poetry. A two-volume set called Care Teachings for a New World. This reading will consist of Earth Talker, Volume 2, Prologue. Earth was in trouble. Earth talkers were born at a rapid rate. Some gained the ability to connect. The Earth was sending signals through its citizens. But what was it trying to say? Its message stumped many. Earth Talker Jab thought it was the final code. If not answered, it would destroy them all. So I'm going to go past the author's notes because I have that on other various first chapters and go to chapter 1. Zular was the cousin of Salar, my close friend. He was the son of Nushu, the sister of Motu, the wife of Solar. The explanation made my head hurt. Earth Talker, Volume 1. Earth talking is nothing but the science of connecting to that which is unseen. It is the art of psychometry. It is the claimed ability to know an object's history through touch. Some supporters of this idea now claim it is true. They say an object has an energy field that can transfer knowledge. People built schools to teach Earth Talk. Being an Earth Talker did not mean I was able to see everything when it came to the Earth. I could see, I could touch, more so, the past. Only God sees all. GSA. If I touched certain objects, pictures, or people, I could see an imprint of what happened. I was once trapped in these visions, but my older brother Arvid taught me some meditative practices. They disciplined me and helped me escape. Also, schooling that specialized in how to handle this ability, I found a way to control it. There was a learning curve in everything you did in life, right, reader? So, my first years with this ability were like hell on earth. I did receive some help from Lady Aisha, an unusual phasey, to say the least. Lady Aisha is a 302-year-old phasey. She acted as a liaison between Earth and planets over 300 light years away. Her support of my writing and my fight against polluters delighted me. I wrote the first volume about my adventures in Earth Talking. It became an instant bestseller. Of course, I did not expect that, and Lady Aisha only encouraged me to continue writing and to improve on my craft. I didn't see it as a craft, but more a hobby. But my brother, Hut, said it was not a hobby when it supported you. There was some truth to that. This was 5 years after Volume 1. A transformation had taken place in the intervening period. I did become hitched to Temp, an Earth talking member. We moved from my brother Arva's house on a hill to a modest 3-story house in town. Tempt became pregnant and we had a beautiful daughter named Chavis. She had Tempt's logical mind, her puffed cheeks, and my gray eyes, and other human features. Also, I took the production manager position after the ETL merger. The planning manager role was no longer available. More money and more responsibility. BEFUA had 5 locations: the Americas, China, Russia, Zaire, and New Sweden. One terrorist, Salis, took down our 3 buildings with bombs. They were in Sweden, China, and Russia. After his brother and a few others died, he grew a conscience. Our explosions destroyed the American branch. We wanted to be ahead of a sudden, massive eruption and save lives. Once, it was better Earth for us all, or BEFUA, an environmental leader which countered companies polluting to reduce expenses. After 62 years, they dissolved due to upper management's theft, the bombing of our buildings, and a bad public image. Out of 8 managers, only 4 of us remain. BEFUA gave most of its power to Earth Talker LLC, developed by my 2 aunts. Shamika, the project manager, and Shannon, her assistant, comprised the phases. This gave the ETL 5 managers, counting me. Authorities released Lyle Patz, 97, after he received or served a 5-year sentence for fraud and mismanaging funds. Last week, authorities released Shah after 5 years in jail and on a 3-year probation for the same charges. Lowry reclaimed his title upon resuming his position. Shah, my former doctor, resumed her role as director. Hun, now director, moved back to assistant. They both had to steal money from 2 people. They avoided exposure and continued their adventure. The court was lenient, but it held them responsible for not reporting the matter until they were both exposed. This showed they cared more about their situation than the company's integrity. Devastated by the bad public image, BEFUA's funds dried up. They moved much of their staff to my 2 aunts, who renamed the company ETL, Earth Talker LLC. With the 6 of us in charge, things became much easier. My duties seemed to flow, and I was home more often. You would think things came easier in my personal life, but this was not the case. Temp struggled with alcohol abuse and before lost 2 jobs due to drunk arrival. I caught her with a beer at times, but lately she tried to hide a second one. So I took it and tossed it out the door. This sparked many arguments. I worried she might jump into the air car and cause a wreck, harming others, herself, or my daughter and me. These arguments usually happen on our wind down days from work. You are going to get yourself pulled over by the robot air police. Then where will you be? Locked up. And I will have to bail you out, I said. No, leave me sit for a while. She looked at her hands. That's what my mom did in my college years. I did remember seeing that when I touched her and she suctioned into my world, but I didn't want to dredge up the past. I know you saw that when you touched me, but I wanted you to see the ugly, the terrible, and the horrible, he admitted. I sat next to her and bowed my head. Her emotional weight exhausted me, yet I lacked a solution. You shouldn't talk down to yourself like that. Why do you talk like that? I asked, aggravated. Like what? She asked. Like it's the end of the world, I asked. It is for me, sometimes. She stood, reached into a nearby green refrigerator, and took a dark beer. Don't worry, I'm not taking the air car anywhere. I sighed and closed my eyes in acknowledgement. Not this time, she said. Then she walked past me and disappeared into our room and closed the beige door. I stood and walked into Chayla's room with its walls of planets and star systems that glowed a light green color. They calmed Chayla's down whenever she cried. It was our star connected heritage. I peered into the crib to find her lost in slumber, adorned in a pink outfit, resting on plush sheets. I dared not touch her because I didn't want her to be up half the night trying to get her back to sleep. My much older brother Arvid peered at me through a V screen. Electrons jumped as he moved. I smiled. Your connections are weak, brother, I surmised. Thought I fixed that. His gray eyes peered downward. Are you okay? I asked, sensing something deep, hidden. I'll be okay. This headache, he sighed. I see your wife is still struggling with the postpartum depression after 3 years. Your scanning abilities are still impeccable after all this time, I admitted. That remains unaffected, even if I don't feel good, he said. Are you sick, brother? I asked as I tried for a deep scan, but I sensed blocking techniques he used to deter me. So, tempt is unraveling before your eyes. He changed the subject. Yes, alcohol doesn't help much either. How long before she comes out of this funk? I asked, concerned. Every woman is different, Jab. She has taken her vitamins and seen the therapist. It takes time, these things. He paused and squinted his eyes in pain. This headache needs to take something for it. You don't get headaches, brother. Can you explain the situation? I asked suspiciously. Getting old is what is going on here, he said with a forced smile. Nothing wrong with getting old, because the moment we stop getting old, we become dead, I replied. He snickered at my silly joke and showed white, even teeth behind him. I saw Sally's face. She was the daughter of Sana, who died 5 years ago in a violent accident. I still saw, in my mind, Sana's body had two bullets, wounds in the chest and stomach. Her eyes were open from instant death. Sally had a kind pink face, and her blind curls jumped around as she tried to push forward. Uncle Jab? She asked. Arvid picked her up and sat her in his lap. Her red and yellow dress flowed over his leg. I waved and smiled. Wow, you are getting tall, I said. When are you coming to see me? She asked. I don't know. I stared at Arvid. When can I come and see her, brother? This weekend, Arvid agreed. By that time, I should feel much better. Sally clapped until Chelsea arrived to encourage Sally to give Daddy a rest. I waved at Chelsea as she smiled behind brown eyes and a tan complexion. She was a small woman, but the energy she showed in taking care of Arvid and Sally was immeasurable. I know I couldn't do it if it was the reverse. Arvid analyzed my mental and emotional state before responding. You do an excellent job of it too. I uttered a skeptical thank you in response. See you soon? He asked with a deep stare. I muttered in distraction. But below the surface, I suspected something health wise with him. My sleep in the last few weeks became a jumble of images with my wife, my best friend Salar, and his cousin Zular. They wanted me to figure out a puzzle, but there was no puzzle before me. I raised my hands, not knowing what they wanted me to see. That's the first chapter on Earth Talker, Volume 2. Also, I have in the works, in the pocket, a thriller called The Forgotten Case of Rain. It's a science fiction thriller. And the other is A Practical Guide to Living called Communications and Love. It's on Amazon.com, all these various books and ebooks and in print version. Google Play Books, if you want a free book on the Google Play Books, an audio version, it's auto narrated. Let's connect with me, or it's only 99 cents. I also it's a draft to digital, BarnesandNoble.com and AppleBooks.com. I have also in the show notes other books that's similar to mine connect to. I'll put them down there to assist other authors. So I will connect with you in the next audio. And this is Michael Light.